Hi Scorpios, this is Sherry with True Tarot for today, and I'm going to be doing your monthly reading for March 2019. This is a general spread, so it will give you an idea of different departments or areas of your life and the influences that will be affecting you for the month. And it's a general reading. I'm mixing your cards now. This is for the Scorpios in the month of March 2019 for the sign of Scorpio. What's ahead and what's around you, Scorpios, in the month of March 2019. Scorpio. For the sign of Scorpio, please show me the month ahead, March 2019. Okay, Scorpios, I'm going to be cutting your cards and laying them out, and we'll see what they have to say for you for this month. Alright, so we're going to start with your first house, Scorpio. This is how the world perceives you. The vibe that you're giving out to the world in the month of March has a lot of energy attached to this card. It's the Queen of Wands. It's not a typical vibe that a water sign gives out, but you are, like, for me, Scorpio's the most fiery, or because there's Mars involved. In your sign, you have the most potent energy of the water signs. For this month, you're going to be appearing as very entrepreneurial, very confident, wanting to get things done, a can-do type of personality. You're going to be attractive to people in public. You're going to be seen as a woman or a man that takes care of yourself. For some of you that are males, the world may see you through your other half. They may see you through your spouse, and you'll have to think about what that means for you. But if you are male, you may have a very strong partner, and the world may see you through your partner and not through who you are yourself. So you'll have to determine, because this is a general reading, for the females, I would read this card as you're showing up with a lot of leadership, power, ability, confidence, creativity, entrepreneurial skills. This can be said for the males watching this reading. And for some of the males, you're seen through your other half, which you may want to think about if they're overshadowing or overpowering your expression in the outside world. You want to be seen as yourself, not through your other half. Okay, in your money house, Scorpios, you have another power card. This is the Magician. You can manifest what you want in the month of March. You have a lot of options. You may be multitasking. You're very skillful. You're very adept. If you're getting a tax return, if you have investments, this is saying that you should draw upon your own gifts and abilities, because it's saying that you're almost better with your own money than if you had anybody else handle it in the month of March. Even a tax accountant that you might be seeing, this is saying that you should be very interactive, and you should also be assertive, because your ideas and your insights in terms of your own money and finances is going to bring you what you want to manifest. And so your knowledge about your own finances can bring you results and good sense of control and organization. So even if some of you are going to an accountant, you will have everything organized ahead of time, and you'll know what you want, out of the deductions, out of the fairness of the tax return being, submitted to the IRS. For others of you, if you have investments or 401ks, this is indicating that you should not be shy and you should think about managing your own resources, because this card again has a lot of power attached to it, and manifestation is very powerful with this card. So many of you may have better instincts or gut feelings about the economy and where things are going, and you should actually manage your own money. That's the advice from this card in the month of March. If some of you have been looking for new sources of income, put your resumes out. You're appearing as skillful, you're appearing as confident in the world. And so if some of you are job hunting, this just says that manifest what you want, and it should come to you in the month of March. Okay, this card is in your third house, and it's a major arcana card. It's called the Judgment card. The third house represents communications, and this can be online communications or on the phone or any other form of communication. It also represents your environment, your neighbors, your siblings, your cousins. It can even represent colleagues if they're in your environment a lot. And you have the Judgment card, which means you've closed a chapter. So one of your neighbors might be moving, you might be moving from a neighborhood, one of your cousins or siblings may be completing an education process, maybe finishing a marriage, getting a divorce, a separation. You're just going to hear either in your environment from people around you that things have changed or ended. This is the card of graduation. Some of you may find out about children that have gotten their degrees and finished high school or college. Online communications, deals can be sealed. If you're putting anything up online or communicating with people, there would be a sense of completion or finishing something up. But many of you are going to hear about completions, or you yourself are going to complete a cycle with someone, like I said, a family member, sibling, cousin. Some of you might be moving from a particular neighborhood or area. You've learned everything you can in that place, and you're considering having a new neighborhood. You've outgrown it. So you'll have to see, Scorpios, which area in your third house this card is speaking to, but it is a significant time marker where something has changed, completed, ended, and it won't be the same afterwards. In your home, you have the card of advice and counsel. So many of you will either be giving advice and wisdom and counsel to people while you're in your home. Some of you will be receiving the advice and the counsel and the wisdom in your home. Naturally, if you're a parent, this would be a card where you would be called to, take time and to foster your children or your pets. In this day and age, it can be that as well. For some of you, there may be a lot of knowledge that you're gleaning online from people and getting advice and counsel and wisdom, looking at their experiences on YouTube or on, the web. For some of you, you may actually work from your home and do counseling or advise people. But you are seen that way as somebody who does give good advice and has wisdom. You're the light keeper. So many people may come to you or visit you in your home and expect almost a counseling session. So, yeah, you're a little bit on demand in that department in the month of March. New relationships look really good. The fifth house represents a relationship that started within the last 3 years. That's what I consider a new relationship. And it also has to do with your children and your pets. So this is the card of rest after labor. It's a very happy card. It's a card of enjoying yourself, relaxing, meeting up with people, food and drink, having reunions. So it will be great time spent with a new romance. It will be very relaxing and joyful in the month of March. It will be romantic. If it's with your children, it should be peaceful. This should be a month where you just enjoy them as people. You have good family time. You have some downtime to relax and laugh and have some fun. It's not a pressured card. So, regarding either your children or a new romance in your life, this is a great card. This is one of the nicest, sweetest cards in the deck, and you should derive a lot of pleasure and happiness from either your children in March or a new romance. Your sixth house represents work, and you have my cat in the image. I'm sorry, guys. But there's going to be change on the work front. This is the card of transformation. When a lot of people see this card, they get nervous or upset because evidently, the death card has a skeleton in there somewhere. But it really represents creative change, and it's a fabulous card indicating evolution and growth. So many of you are going to feel that you've outgrown the work that you were doing in the past and that you need a fresh new beginning. You need a challenge. You need to transform things. In an existing position or job, you are going to be looking for ways to do something in a new way to express this energy of revolution and evolution and transformation. Some of you may be asked to fill in a department or position that you weren't expecting to be part of. That can be the change. For some of you, you actually will be changing careers, but it is an opportunity to grow and learn. So it's a very vital card. It's actually the opposite meaning of death. It's against stagnation, and it's all about change and growth. And so there is opportunity attached to this card, but many of you Scorpios are going to have to be flexible in the month of March and welcome the change, because your work might have been stale and you might have gotten into like a syndrome of comfortability or reliability or utility, and it wasn't serving your highest good. So the death card in your career house indicates that there's a need for change, and it's always better to go with the flow than to resist it. In your partnership house, you have the Seven of Cups, and this can mean you, or it can mean one of your partners is a little bit spaced out or spacey in the month of March. They could be suffering from spring fever. They could be a little out of focus. They could be daydreaming a lot. They could be fantasizing a lot. So one of your partnerships isn't totally solid right now. They may be a little bit like an airhead. I call this the Walter Mitty card, where someone's dreaming about all the possibilities, but they don't have focus. So partnerships can be business, they can be romantic, they can be family members. Because you're a Scorpio and this is cups, this is probably going to be one of your emotional partnerships, either a love partnership or a friendship partnership. And don't expect like a lot of reliability or solidness in the month of March. This is more of a person that wants to fantasize or think about all the actions that they'd like to take, but they're not focused enough to really take any. So give your partners a little space to be spacey in the month of March, Scorpios, because one of them is going to present that way. The only other way I can read this is that they're going to be seeing these traits in you and not being able to nail you down or figure you out. And a lot of your partners may be wondering if you even know what you really want. So if that's the case, just be aware that no one's going to feel particularly focused upon or special. They're going to feel like they're arbitrary or they're one of your emotional choices or options, but not like your one and only desire or option or relationship. So just be aware of that. And if it's the reverse, you are not going to be feeling center stage or totally adored or special, because you'll be aware that one of your partners has different options and they haven't completely decided or focused on you as the main thing. Okay, in your eighth house, this is the house of your bedroom. It's also the house of shared resources, legacies, inheritances. And so even, Stephen, and fairness, mutual respect is the name of the game for the month of March. So even if you have a new romance that feels kind of delicious or hopeful or peaceful, in your bedroom, you need a real sense of fairness and respect and reciprocity. And this is a card that's saying you need give and take. And so for many of you Scorpios, you may have graduated from being the giver and dating takers, selfish people. In your sexual life, you definitely want the give and take. You want equal satisfaction, equal time spent on each other, one partner not deriving all the pleasure or doing all of the work to achieve pleasure. And so in your bedroom, if this is referring to your intimate life, someone who respects you and treats you as an equal is going to directly affect your sexual rapport with them. If this is more towards legacies and shared resources, fairness again is the name of the game, even Steven. You're not going to tolerate anyone who is not fair. I don't think you're going to have any problem, expressing that. And I think, you'll be generous and give to the people, that you want to give to, but you also are going to expect to get what you deserve. So that's a strong card for shared resources and for legacies and inheritances. You will get what you deserve. In your ninth house, this represents higher education, and you do have a student card here, a researcher, a student. So for the ninth house, this is perfect for education. All of you would benefit and derive a lot of knowledge if you pursued higher education. The house also represents lawsuits, publishing, and travel. For travel, this is saying you need to take a little more time and ferret out options, do a little research. It's not a time to actually book the trip. It's a time to decide and weigh your options. For publishing, this is great if you're publishing anything that has to do with self-help, education, knowledge, teaching. This would be a great time to publish. You may still have to do a little research, but it is the intellectual card. It's the Page of Swords, and it represents the mind. And so any kind of publishing would resonate with people intellectually, which is great. And I also think that if it's a legal situation that's current or one that you're considering, you need to find out more information. Some of you may actually be using a private eye because this is the I Spy card. So some of you might actually be using a private investigator if you are involved in a lawsuit. You may be considering hiring a private investigator. It's the card of somebody who does research and does investigate naturally. They have a need to know. So if there's anything legal, there's some more information that needs to be attained. And if it's also a legal situation, it can refer to a child or to custody or to the taking care of this child, and especially in terms of their education and their future. In your career house, you have a great card, Scorpios. You're appearing very strong. And this is a very Scorpio card because it's taming your own inner passions and a lot of self-control. But the card has many dimensions, so your strength is being seen as not just physical or intellectual, but you're being seen as somebody who's even spiritually strong. So that's very attractive to people. And in many careers and how the world sees you in your profession, you are not coming across in any way as weak or mousy. This is the card of healthiness. This is the card of somebody who's together, who's mastered themselves. And so for many of you, you're going to be looked at for your strengths. And just like in your home, where I said there's going to be a lot of advice and counsel given, and you're seen as a wisdom keeper, in your profession, you're seen as somebody who's really together and healthy and strong. And so this is a great card to have in your career house. Okay, in your friendship house and your higher hopes and dreams and visions, that's what the 11th house represents. I first go with friendships. So for me, this means one of your friends is sort of introverted this month. They've sort of gone inward. They're not going to be as fun or extroverted as normal. They're trying to figure out what they really want in life and what their values are. And they're searching for spiritual understanding. And so one of your friends may be going through not a hard time, but definitely an introspective time. If this is you and it's regarding your visions for the future or your hopes and your dreams, the jury is really out, and this is saying you need to also explore your soul and find out, for yourself what really is your true vision for the future. And it's a path. It doesn't happen overnight. It involves some self-work. It involves some time. And it definitely doesn't involve a lot of outward social activity. So for the month of March, your love life may be animated, but your friendships are looking a little bit like they're on hold for the month of March. I don't see a lot of activity there. I see more introspection and referring back to the self rather than engaging socially. And, just give one of your friends a little support if they're turning inward and they need a little time and space to themselves. Don't take it personally. And then finally, your 12th house for the month of March, Scorpio, you have the card of patience. And this is something that's a karmic lesson. So for some of you in the past, you either gave situations too much time when things were going nowhere fast, and this can be your career because it's pentacles. It can be relationships that you felt you put a lot of work into, even family relationships, and nothing really came of it, or you just felt that the time that you put in and the energy didn't give you the returns that you wanted, and you waited too long. For other of you Scorpios, this is saying that your lesson is to learn patience, and that can be a feeling of imprisonment or restriction for you, because the 12th house is also the house of your self-undoing, It's your blind spot. It's not considered an easy karmic lesson. So, in the month of March, many of you are going to be examining if you wait too long or you give situations too much time to prosper or deliver what you want out of them, or if some of you have a problem being patient and letting the universe give you and deliver to you, what you need and, returns on what you've invested. So this will be different for all of you Scorpios, but it really is, again, about what you put in and what you get out. And I think that it has to do somehow with a legacy or shared resources, perhaps from a past relationship, custody, child support, um, family issues with an inheritance. And then again, it can be your emotional partnerships, because in your house of intimacy, you have that even Steven card where it's very important for you to have a partner that has respect and has mutual fairness and give and take, where one party is not the giver and one party is not waiting to be, the receiver, or one is a taker and one is a giver. I think that you're looking at, like how sometimes you might have waited too long for someone to change or to become more like you, and you waited too long. It never happened. So for many of you, you do have a lovely vibe if you have a new romance, and this is in the last 3 years, like a new relationship, and you can make it into a different type of relationship than some that you might have had with this 12th house, where you waited for things to be fair. I think now, Scorpios, you're deciding that you're going to create it and demand it, or not be intimately involved with someone who isn't even Steven and respects you. And because you have this completion card in your third house, you may decide to just, stop communicating with people that you feel you've outgrown.